Sup peeps, random person here. Now it's time for the Twilight Princess herself, Midna. After appearing in the captures of two major light characters of this game, we can finally fully capture this imp, and there is a lot to capture. The infamous encounter with everyone's favorite fairy, Navi, made it hard to believe that a sidekick will become one of the most beloved characters of the Zelda series. Yet even those who hate Twilight Princess usually find themselves admitting what a great character Midna is. She may be in one of the most controversial games of the series, but Midna has made an impact that won't be forgotten. Midna comes from a long line of Twili, an ancient race that thrives in Hyrule's shadow, also known as the Twilight. Originally, these Twili were an ancient Hylian group? Race? I'm not entirely sure. Mario's illustration is very confusing, not to mention very misleading! These beings originally tried to conquer Hyrule by stealing some sacred power that was in the shape of a triangle. Don't worry, it's not important. The race was foiled and banished to a world of never-ending twilight. Why they weren't just killed? I'll never know. Midna is not only a descendant of these triangle-stealing sorcerers, but their ruler.
She's the princess.
As their ruler, she reigns over her world, much like Zelda rules over Hyrule. Also like Zelda, being royalty gives her special privileges. Midna is respected by her people, but not everyone agrees with her. And by not everyone, I mean one specific Twili, Zant. Zant, the Twilight world's biggest baby, throws a temper tantrum when Midna refuses to listen to his requests. The dude retaliates by dethroning Midna and turning her into an imp. Then he somehow immediately loses her, his most important prisoner. Way to go, Zant. While trying to find some way to get her kingdom back, as well as stop Zant's plans to take over the tri-state area, Midna comes across Link. The Twili legend says that a blue-eyed beast will rise up and save the Twili. Midna figures out that 2 plus 2 does not equal 5, and respectively asks the hero to come along on her quest in order to save both their worlds! Wait, no, she manipulates Link into helping her by blackmailing him and psychologically torturing him. Exactly what you'd expect from well-mannered royalty. Link and Midna scour across Hyrule trying to find an ancient power that will help Midna defeat Zant, allowing both their worlds to be saved. Midna's personality is one of the favorite discussions among Zelda fans. Why? Because there's actually development. Development, while present in the Zelda series, is not a prominent factor when it comes to its characters. With the tale being a traditional knight story, every cliché character usually stays within their cliché role. Twilight Princess, however, had many characters show growth throughout the game, and Midna was the poster child for this concept. But before we get into that, well, actually this time we're going to be dealing with Twilight. Twilight characters, who can also be called shadow characters, are a mixture of light and darkness. Whereas light characters are all about doing things right and staying away from bad, Twilight characters aren't so by the book. Think of it like Superman and Batman. Superman is all about truth, justice, and what once was the American way but now isn't. Whereas while Batman is still a good guy, he's not afraid to break a couple of bones to do what needs to be done. So Midna's all about fighting for the good, but she'll cross some lines. The true wonder of Midna is noting her personality all from the beginning to the end of the game. At the start of the journey, she's a brat. And I mean a huge brat. If this little girl did not get on your nerves on your first playthrough, it's probably because you're a troll. Stop watching this video. While yes, she does rescue Link from his imprisonment, Midna makes it clear that it's only because she wants to use him as her slave. And not only that, but she trolls Link every chance she gets, talking bad about him, talking bad about his friends, treating him like he's actually a dog when she knows he's a Hylian. Midna is bratty to the extreme, and if you have any relation to what Link is feeling throughout the game, you learn to despise her. Then you learn to love her. After Midna gets that personality-changing light power that Zelda bestows upon her, she starts to open up more and becomes a bit more like a light character. So we have two personalities here. The brat-like Midna, who you want to strangle, but you can't because you need her help, and the Midna who becomes your best friend and actually behaves like a fantasy princess. Which one is real? As stated in Link's character capture, Midna exists to foil Link, and she does a fantastic job of it. While Link has the humble farm boy attitude, rising to the occasion to help anyone in need, Midna has that distrusting, stuck-up royalty personality, insisting everyone is beneath her and should solve their own problems unless it grants her some benefit. While Link fights his battles in the open, Midna remains in the shadows. While Link is a boy, Midna is a girl. See? Complete opposites! But while Midna's personality helps bring out Link's, she serves a much more serious purpose as well. As a shadow character, she naturally has very shady characteristics, but really starts to brighten up the longer she's with Link. Basically, she's there to show that while Batman is epic, if you put him with Superman, you can get some pretty surprising results. A deep look into this part of Midna's literature can be summed up in a couple of lines said by a certain Gerudo.
Shadow has been moved by light, it seems. How amusing. Fine, deny me then. Yes, you and your little friend.
Let's try not to gawk like fangirls and look at the first part of that line. Shadow has been moved by light. Twilight Princess suggests that light is the strongest of the three influences, light, twilight, and darkness. Midna is a Twilly, but has been dwelling in the world of light throughout the whole game. This, plus Zelda's light powers, demonstrates the effect pure-hearted people have on those in the shadows. While Midna is a mixture of light and darkness, by the end of the game she begins acting more like a light character, boldly facing her foes, sacrificing herself so others may escape, and so on. Of course, she's not a complete person of light. Her departure at the end sort of suggests that she's still not fully acceptable to bringing what she feels to light. No pun intended. No, that pun was intended. Midna's appearance helps to amplify what the game wants us to feel for her. Her transformed form is an imp. Generally, we relate imps to tricksters or things to not be trusted. Really, Nintendo wanted us to be mistrusting of Midna before she even speaks to us. They even go as far as to put an evil we already know on top of her. Although, I do wonder if that was done for this specific reason. But what is realized is that deep down inside, Midna truly is good. Her final appearance of what she really looks like brings out how we are supposed to view Midna and what she's been to Link the entirety of the game. Someone we can trust. The second part of the G-Man statement is just as important as the first, but rather strays from the whole personality thing. Zelda games have almost always been about Link. However, in this game, Ganondorf calls Link Midna's little friend. Some people actually think he was referring to Zelda because the camera pans towards her when he says this, but those people are stupid because their conclusion is different than mine.
And that's a fact!
This title that the G-Man has given Link signifies that Link is not the main issue here, and he never was the main issue. Midna is the princess of Twilight, and she has been the real threat to his plans all along. Link has simply been there, lending his aid when need be. If Midna's problems hadn't spilled over into the light world, Link wouldn't have even been able to go on this venture in the first place. Midna is a very interesting character because even though she's set up as a sidekick, if you pay attention, you will realize the game is actually about her.
Oh, that's why it's called Twilight Princess.
This does have a bit to do with things and stuff. Even though the game is about Midna, it's trying to deceive you like it's just another Zelda game and that Link and Zelda should be the focus. Midna even calls Zelda Twilight Princess, making you think the title is talking about the Princess of Light. OM goodness, I so fell for that. But as the story goes along, we see more and more clues that point to Midna being the center of it all. I've heard that the end fight with Ganondorf actually upset some people because while the Twilly were supposed to be the focus of this game, in the end it was Zelda and Link versus Ganondorf. Midna and Zant were both put aside so light and darkness could fight it out. I think that's a fair criticism for a game that's supposed to be suggesting that light and twilight are both important when defeating evil. Really, Midna is the focus of this game, or at least that's what they were intending throughout most of it. Overall, Midna is going through some routine character development, but in a series that isn't known for its character development, she really stands out. Growing up as royalty in the shadows has made her distrusting of many and rather selfish when it comes to matters not concerning her kingdom. Min was quite content with using people as pawns and even laughing at their misery. Her appearance alone would make anybody want to throw holy water on top of her, shouting, "The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!" But all that changes as she spends more time in the world of light. Eventually, Midna's compassion begins to take surface, and the witnessing of her and Link become close friends was a wonderful accomplishment many fans appreciated, not to mention the surprise of learning that she was the actual focus of this game. If, while playing Twilight Princess, you saw a feisty, bossy little piece of royalty who was able to prove herself an ally when the time came, then I believe you captured Midna's character.
Let me go. Without me, they will perish. Answer me!